Hello and welcome to episode 109 of No Load Time. My name is Ovid Velez, and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
Yo, it's good Nolo time. Episode 109. I feel like that's been the wow for us as we think about it. You mentioned it before we got on air here for episode 109 already. I did a quick Instagram live before we started on here, and it's like, dude, I remember like yesterday our 100th episode. It was a really good episode. I recommend you guys go back and check it out if you haven't. There's a nice fun recap of some of the best of moments or best of stories we covered. It was some big stuff.
Time is flying, dude. October's halfway done. Thanksgiving's gonna be here before you know it,
Yeah.
and then Christmas, and then and then after that, The Last of Us, and then oh wait, before that, Final Fantasy VII remake, and then The Last of Us, and then Ghost of Tsushima question mark,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
coming
then
soon.
and then the big guns. PS5. So time's flying. Joel, if you're waiting for next gen, for sure this next year is gonna fly by. But what's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. You listing off that stuff, bro, gets me so hyped and excited.
Gives you the
Can't wait
chills.
for it.
Give the
Got
heebie
the
jeebies.
I got the chills, bro. Oh, I love it. Hype. Yeah, dude, I'm doing good. I didn't do too much this since our last episode. One of the things I did go out and do was see the Gemini Man, the Will Smith movie, the
Oh
the
boy.
cloned Will Smith movie, right?
How was
And
that, sir?
yeah, so here's the thing. That the reason why I really wanted to see the movie wasn't because it was like this crazy, like, oh, it looks like it's a crazy good movie. It was really just because of me understanding the technicalities behind it. Ang Lee is a very artistic director, and so he filmed this movie in a format that's not been done, which is it was shot in 4K, 120 frames per second, and shot in 3D all at the same time. Now
Interesting.
here's the thing with you doing that. 120 frames per second is just like that's crazy off the clocks. But there's only 14 theaters in America. Polygon put an article out about this. 14 theaters in America that actually they can display it closest to the actual specifications that the director filmed it in. Um, there was I think the closest specification was 2K, 120 frames per second, of course 3D, and basically referred to as that high frame rate format. And out of all the different 14 theaters, one of them was Disney Springs. Their Dolby Cinema, brand new. It actually is able to display in that 120 frames, 2K, 3D format, high frame rate, and they advertise it as such. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and use that since I have a nice AMC pass. Um, Bro, the second like the movie starts and that frame rate kicks in, my eyes were like,
Uh,
this
so
is crazy.
did you ever get a chance to watch The Hobbit when it came
Yes.
at 48?
Yes.
So yeah, when the Hobbit came out, it came out at
And
48.
I thought that was crazy at the time.
Yeah. 48 3D, and it was jarring, but it was cool.
Yeah,
So
it
I
was
can
cool. It
just
was different.
it was different. Yeah, I mean, people hate it. It's like, oh, it looks stupid. It looks like a soap opera, and you can tell that those are sets. And I mean, yeah, come on, but it looks like they're right there. It's crazy. So that was pretty cool, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I can just imagine what 120 would be.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because and 120, but that 3D was actually really good because it was shot in 3D, so it wasn't like converted, so it looked
Yeah,
really good. Um, So visually, the whole movie is just beautiful if you're watching in this format. I think that kind of influenced my enjoyment of the movie because you have these incredible action sequences shot in this format, and you're like, "This is crazy." Now, the movie itself is really not that special of a movie, in my opinion. It's nothing like, oh my goodness, and the meanings behind it and the story. All nah, it's a very basic movie that you could probably watch on a Saturday or Sunday night, just chilling on your television. But what influences the experience, if you were to see it, was to see it in that special format. Of course, that was only for the first weekend. It didn't do very well, obviously, this opening weekend. Not really much of a surprise. There really wasn't much hype going into it. I don't think it was promoted well at all. I mean, how many people know about this, the
yeah.
technicalities behind this movie? Like, only tech nerds like you and I actually pay attention to these kinds of things. most of the average person just like they see a trailer in the movie theater, they see Ang Lee and they see Will Smith, and they're like, maybe, you know?
Yeah, the thing is that I agree with you. The marketing on this movie was really weak. I saw this. I didn't. First of all, I didn't know that this movie was coming out. So I saw the trailer. Man, I want to say about 2 months ago was the first time that I saw it.
Sure.
I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I mean, they're making young Will Smith. That's like the new thing. New hot thing in movies now,
Yeah.
making aging actors look younger. So it looked interesting. It looked good from what I saw in the trailers, but I think I saw like one commercial on TV after that, which is super lame for a movie that Will Smith is starting on, which is
Yeah.
like Will Smith is, still kind of a big deal. He brings people in the movie theaters. Of course,
I think he
Bad
helped
Boys 3.
Aladdin.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Bad Boys 3 is coming out. And I know that movie's going to do well because, one, nostalgia, and two, Will Smith. So I don't, I mean, yeah, I didn't know Ang Lee. See, for example, I just learned that Ang Lee was actually the director for this movie. I didn't know that.
It's
Um,
very, very artistic, very
so
visionary in that
yeah,
sense.
yeah, Ang Lee seemed his movies are like that. We saw his approach for the Hulk, the first Hulk movie that came out back
Yep.
in what 2004 was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we saw that, and that was very interesting. It was more of a drama more than anything, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it worked and it didn't because you do really want to see the Hulk, you be the Hulk, and you saw it in certain parts, and
Yeah.
then you get to the ending of the movie, and
It goes
uh,
crazy.
oh boy, yeah,
It goes crazy.
this movie could have done without that whole ending, actual section, like
I actually
ended at
like
the
could end.
city. That's
Yeah, I
it.
could literally end the movie there, turn off, and I'm okay.
Ended at the city. Yeah,
Yeah,
ended at the city. That's it. It's
I'm
like, oh,
good.
movie ended. That's it. We're good to go. But holy crap, Joe. Yeah, I really like what he did with. We're actually like diverting here. Just go back and talk about the Hulk. Um, I really liked what he did when how he used the comic book panels to transition between sequences, and that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yep.
That was no one was doing that at the time. I think it was very artistic because
Mm-hmm.
we're coming out of Spider-Man 2 at that point, and X-Men 2, so it was very artistic, it was very different. It was fresh, but at the same time, um, I think Eric Bana was okay as Banner,
Yeah.
so it wasn't too great. But yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, like that was interesting. But again, like if you're not gonna see it in that format, like because it's not in the theaters like that anymore. So if I'm gonna tell you, oh, you gotta go watch this in theaters, I'd be lying to you. I don't think you need to go out and watch it in theaters. Go watch it on a Saturday at Redbox or Sunday or
Rent
something.
it.
Rent it, and you'll be fine like that. You'll have a good time watching it in that way. Um, but yeah, if you were to watch it in theaters, you would have had to have done it this last weekend when it was in that ridiculously crazy good frame rate and 3D. I did also. I told you in last week's episode I watched Batwoman. I'm like halfway through the first episode of Flash for the new Flash Arrow for the new season. Um, I've heard great reviews about the return of this show. It's so far what I've watched. It's definitely wow. It's like worth going back to actually how
Interesting.
good
Okay.
they've done on this. Um, I've been told that also the Flash also is pretty strong on its return. I'll see. I might go ahead and give that a chance and go back just to see how that crossover the Infinite Earths and how they do that. Some really cool connective tissue there. Uh, but yeah, I'm really excited for that crossover coming up. Batwoman actually got a 30% drop off from her second episode.
Yeesh.
So, the first episode, like I told you, I watched it, but I don't have an intention to continue watching the series. And that wasn't like a predetermined thing. That was like I'll watch and see how I feel. And I felt indifferent when I watched the trailers, and I feel the same way watching it like at home. It's like only because I'm like, oh, I'm interested. So yeah, comic book stuff's back this coming Sunday. We've got HBO's coming in with their Watchmen series, so I might try and give that a try. We'll
So
see
that
how that
actually,
goes.
I saw a trailer for that,
Yeah,
and you know how I feel about the movie. We've
yeah,
talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. I mean, I can put my flame shield up, but we've talked about it offline, and you know
yeah.
how I feel about the Zack Snyder movie. I haven't seen the director's cut,
Yeah.
I have no interest in no interest in watching it. That's enough with that.
That's telling.
That's telling. Yeah, I don't have to go through the entire story. But I think this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this looks actually more interesting than the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's good. I don't have HBO, so I'll catch it when I catch it if I
Right.
catch it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's from what I saw, it looks like well shot, it looks gritty, it looks good. So, let's see how they do that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, superhero stuff is coming back on television, so you'll probably hear some more of my take on that in next upcoming weeks. What's up sections. But Obed, I'm curious, how are you doing, my friend? Do anything fun?
Doing good, nothing too crazy. I went full into playing Astral Chain on the Switch. That is very good. It has a very extended intro, basically. I had mentioned on the last episode that I played about an hour. So I played about another hour, and that's when the intro actually ends. Because that's when the game actually starts. You get like a 2 hour intro to your character and mechanics and all this stuff, and then you start full on with the game. I like it. I like it a lot, man. It's very different from other Platinum games. Like it's not as hectic as Bayonetta. Is It's not as I'd say as mechanically or technically impressive as Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, but it has a little bit of all of them, right? Um, it has a couple of a couple of sound effects, especially with the computer stuff that they used in Nier, and I was like, I like that. That makes me happy. Again, how I feel about Nier Automata, and that game is an absolute masterpiece. So they put a couple things here and there, and I I really loved how they actually included mechanics from all of their games into this game. So this is like, yo, Nintendo gave us like a pile of money. What can we do with it? It's like, let's do everything, and, and they went ahead and did everything. Because it has shooting, which Vanquish has shooting,
Sure.
but not as frantic and fast paced as at least not yet. I mean, I'm wondering how that's gonna get as Vanquish, but it has the trademark Dutch slowdown that games like Bayonetta and Vanquish and the Transformers Devastation, all these Platinum games have. So it has that. It doesn't have a jump button, Joel, which is really interesting.
Huh.
So it's for an action game. It doesn't have a jump button. They actually it has a jump like mechanic, but not a jump button per se.
Okay.
Because basically you used your legion basically being the being that's with you, that's fighting, like your stand from JoJo, basically. So there's mechanics with that you would use to get from platform to platform instead of jumping. You would use your legion to move around in air. Combat's cool, combos are good. The shooting's okay, shooting's not great. um and it does have pretty good customization. You can customize you can pick between male, female for the story. You can customize your looks. I haven't unlocked a lot of stuff with that. I just try to make it a little bit different. The one thing that I did just to make it different was like I told my daughter, I was like, hey, what color should I do my hair? Blue. So my dude has blue hair because she picked the blue hair, so I'm gonna roll with
Nice.
it. Um, and no, it's good. It's good, man. I
Nice.
really like it. It's a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting it to be what it is because it's not only an action game. It does have, at least for now. Do you remember? Of course, you remember the Batman detective mode from the Arkham
I
games.
do. Yeah.
So basically, you have like an AR
Mm-hmm.
device that you use in certain areas of the game, basically, because you're technically like a police officer of sorts. So you would go to an area and you would talk to people. It's like, oh yeah, I saw this thing and this thing happened, and you take notes. Basically, it's like, oh, okay, this thing happened, and you basically keep taking notes. It's like, oh, I saw this thing flying around and it hit this thing, but I don't know what happened. So you would turn on that AR thing and you would see, like bullet holes or something in a wall, and you start investigating. It was like, oh, it may the bullet came from this direction, and then you go to that direction to investigate. So it kind of has that, and then it has the otherworldly interdimensional thing, and that's it. I like it. I like it. It's cool. So definitely worth it. I mean, I was hesitant. It was like, man, it's a $60 game. I don't know how much I'm gonna feel about a platinum game being $60. All the platinum games, of course, being great, but it's good because I heard the game's like 24 hours. It's pretty long. So it's so far I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see. I heard there's like some really awesome moments. So I'm looking forward to that. But first weekend without Battlefront in a long time because
That's crazy.
yeah, I've been hitting that game hard. I really like it, man. Um, Also, I did see those previews that came out for Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know if you got a chance to see
I
those.
did.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm 98% sold, so I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
know I'll get it. Right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things like I'm gonna get it, but I'm 98% sold on the pre-order.
That's fair.
Um, that November is gonna be rough because I'm sure I'm gonna be well into November with Astral Chain. The Stranding copy reviews got out, Joel. Do you see that?
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, not copy reviews, but review copies got out, and embargo is up November 1st. So they are confident that this game is going to be good.
I mean, you and I already are too, but that's good to hear
Yeah.
that confirmation.
Yep. And the big thing, I mean, there's a few people that I follow that were really into Metal Gear and are huge Kojima nerds that I was like, I wish I could talk to you guys about this game. So, and I've seen other people's like, I'm like 5 hours in, and I don't know what the heck's happening here. I don't know. So it's interesting. So I'm curious to see where those reviews are going to land, man. I'm really excited for that game.
For sure.
Now that the Sony is actually confident that
Sure.
they basically the embargo is going to be lifted a week before the game comes out, giving me enough time to cancel my pre-order. They're not gonna do that. So
Oh yeah.
they're confident. They're confident that this is gonna be great. So um yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I didn't watch anything of note. I know that they're yeah, yeah, no, I didn't really watch anything. I'm trying to go back to see if I remember. Oh yeah, I did actually watch one thing. Uh so um I recently learned that um, JoJo Part 3 Stardust Crusaders had an OVA back in the early 90s. So OVA being direct to video sort of mini series. Um, I mean they're cramming 30 some episodes into 2.5 hours, or almost 3 hours. It's rough because you're when you watch Part 3 anime, it's like 32 episodes, I think. Around 30 episodes for the first part and around 30 more for the second part. So they're cramming all 60 some episodes into 5.5 hours. So it's rough. It's rough, but it's good. I mean,
Nice.
it's 90s anime, and what I found, it's early 90s anime. So the dub is questionable, as I've always said. Is like these dubs are always like, oh no, they're always flaky. Um, but it's interesting to see how they did it back then versus the Stardust Crusaders we got in 2013, 14, whenever that came out. So yeah, it was interesting. Um, yeah, so that's basically what I did. I'm about halfway through it. So sorry, Ultraman. Oh yeah, I started watching Ultraman on Netflix. Yeah, it's not bad. It's it's CG anime. It's not great. They're never good,
Yeah,
but
that's the
this one's
thing.
fun. Yeah, but this one's it's actually okay. I mean, it's
That's
well
good.
written. Yeah, it's well written at least. So not too bad. Joe, let's go ahead and start jumping into the topics for this week. First one being your buddy Kevin Feige getting a promo, man. He got
Yes, he did.
promoted over at Disney. So he got promoted from president of Marvel Studios to Marvel Chief Creative Officer. So
Yes.
he will now oversee the entirety of Marvel. How do you feel about that, man?
Uh, this makes sense. There's been an understanding that the way the world exists as it is now and the way this brand exists today is that, look, people look first and foremost at the movies. They also look at the TV shows. They look at video versions of these characters. And that's what they a lot of times base their understandings of characters off. As of today, based their understandings of characters, storylines, etc. So to have that wonderful cohesion that we've seen from the Marvel Studios films, what they've had for like the last 10 years, more now, of course, of these movies, like having that consistency of, look, like every single one of these movies connected. It's like a long running TV show, but they're done as movies. Now we're going to see that really come into play with the company as a whole. We're talking about, obviously, the television series being connected stronger. Before it was like, kind of connected, but Feige never really acknowledged them. It was more of the shows being like, look, that's my big brother. I think we're going to see more so of like an actual consistency there. Of course, that's been speculated that was going to be the case with the Disney Plus stuff. But now with, look, even the stuff that's been rumored about coming to ABC, and there's supposed to be another show coming to ABC as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ends. Like if those things do get greenlit, it's going to be greenlit by Feige, and it's also going to be under his creative control, which we definitely will see significance. And then when
Yep.
you pair that into also the publications, it's like cool because guess what? When these guys are writing their comics, and I'm sure like there's a ridiculous amount of comics getting worked on at a time, he'll at least have an understanding of where the art where these guys are going. They'll have an understanding of where he's trying to go with the cinematic side, and there'll be more parity between them. So, this is not just a movie thing. This is not just a television thing. I think the movie and TVs are the stuff that everyone keeps looking at, but it's even the published stuff too,
Yeah.
which is where all this, the heart of this stuff. He's going to keep the creative, the stories being the same, and he's a great storyteller. From his large vision and incorporating multiple talented people, multiple talented directors and actors working under him. So fascinating stuff. It's bigger than I think most people realize.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
that promotion a couple years ago, I mentioned to you, where he passed reporting to Ike. That was at that time. Basically, if he didn't get that promotion, he was talking about apparently leaving Marvel. Like that was like a legit like threat. Like I leave or you like change how things are done here.
Interesting.
So he's getting his stuff. Obviously, we know about the Lucasfilm stuff we've talked about. But yeah, he's getting his Infinity Stones,
Yeah,
bro.
he's collecting the stones, man. I think it was overdue. If you ask me, this guy has made uh, a, a fortune for Disney since Disney acquired Marvel. They definitely Disney got their money out of the they already have their money back out of the Marvel purchase for sure on this one. And the good thing now, Joel, is that I believe that we're probably going to get more cohesion between the MCU overall, which is of course their big money making machine,
Right.
and what's TV and what's Disney Plus, which to some extent we've seen some continuity, and we even saw some continuity with the Netflix shows. But now that that's gone, and there's again rumors that this shows may come back in some way or another, in the near future.
There's rumors of Daredevil now and Black Widow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
In the
dude.
movie.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, that would be great, though.
Yeah.
Again,
That movie's
I
gonna be
wish I would
something.
have. You see, I wish I would have seen Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and an Endgame and just doing something that would have been cool. It's even if it was just for a few seconds, that would have been nice. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm wondering. so we know he's gonna be fine with the MCU. We know he's gonna do well with TV, and like you said, the publication that's the soul of the Marvel universe, that's gonna continue on. I want to see what this gonna do to Marvel licenses for video games, and
Right.
how gaming is gonna be treated. Is he gonna listen to the fans and give us a true Marvel sequel? Marvel vs. Capcom sequel. Hopefully, I would love for him to say it's like, oh yeah, this is very popular. This was very popular back then. It's still very popular. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. You know what is this gonna mean uh the Spider-Man sequel that we're definitely gonna get,
Yeah.
and what's this gonna do for um for future projects for the Avengers game that's coming out from Square Enix, and future projects overall. That that to me is the what's going to be the most interesting thing, because we know that the MCU is in good hands. We know that the Disney Plus stuff is in good hands. There's absolutely no issues there, and that's going to be all fine. So I'm wondering what the next big step's going to be regarding licensing and all this stuff. Are we going to be able to get Marvel 2 back in the stores? Uh, you know, are we going to be able to see? Here's what I think, because I don't know. I'm assuming you've seen that there's an arcade one up coming out that's Marvel superheroes and X-Men: Children of the Atom and the Punisher arcade games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard, especially with the Punisher, which was never released. It was released on Genesis, right? But it was more of an obscure, sort of arcade game. It wasn't like very, very big. I never saw big crowds around it back in the day. So actually, Marvel giving Capcom the ability to license that product, because this is the Capcom developed product, and having it be available for people to buy,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes in my opinion. So I'm optimistic about what the future of Marvel licensing when it comes to games will be, and we'll know that MCU is in good hands. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, and just to you segue into that, Ryan Reynolds he went ahead and posted that he auditioned for Anthony Stark, but he got escorted out of the building and tased. So, Joe, does this mean that Deadpool will be in the MCU? Which there's like a continuation to this story, but first of all, what do you think of the tweet and how it all came about first?
Wonderful. I was it was like a cool, like perfect timing, kind of like just drop this random picture of you at Marvel Studios, the Marvel offices, whatever. Very clear large Marvel behind him. He's dressed up for his meeting, whatever that he's having there. Fun little caption, but it's cool because that's what's really fueled the Deadpool fandom, and the Deadpool success has been Ryan Reynolds promoting it in a very unique and creative way, right? And seeing that he's basically doing that again still with this
Yep.
is what's really cool. And then of course comes to find out later on that some of the creative team behind Deadpool have already been talking with Kevin Feige. They're saying that they're still gonna keep it this rated R, which is a big thing
Mm-hmm.
for Marvel, because obviously in general Marvel Studios has steered away from that. But
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. So, is Disney, of course, now owning Fox, will I'm assuming that the brand 20th Century Fox will still exist, right? Kind of
I
like what Miramax and Toy
yeah, I
Pictures
mean that's
is,
how I interpreted the
not
acquisition.
Miramax anymore, but
They
yeah.
weren't acquiring it and shutting it down. They were just acquiring it, obviously, and making it to the Disney brand.
Okay. I mean they can still release Deadpool 2 under a Fox banner and not under a
Well,
Disney
you mean
banner,
Deadpool 3? Yeah,
or Deadpool 3. I'm sorry, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, they could
yeah,
definitely do that.
yeah. And there have been other like Disney properties that are not what you would think to be Disney that have kind of been like
Oh
Disney
yeah,
doesn't put their name across the front of it, and it's like, oh, come to find out they actually are
The
owned by
Rock.
Disney. Right,
Yeah, like The Rock is a Disney movie,
right. People would
so
never guess that.
you would never guess that this is Disney movie. Yeah, um, I'm excited
Oh
because
yeah,
I other they mentioned the movies, right, and the Deadpool sequels, but then they mentioned that yes, Deadpool will appear in future MCU projects with cameos and the whatnot. So cool stuff.
yeah. Ryan Reynolds
Yeah,
is doing his thing.
again, they should do like the a fourth wall breaking thing where he cusses on screen and he gets beeped. I was like, oh yeah,
There's ways
I
around it
forgot
for
I
the for
can't do
those.
this in this movie. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
there are ways around his rated R versus if they
yeah,
were to put him in a PG-13
yeah.
movie with
Because
the
they
other
could,
Avengers.
yeah, exactly. Because they could just just beep him, bleep him out, and he'd be like look at the camera. It was like, oh yeah, I forgot I can't do this in this movie. That
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's
Acknowledging that he's not gonna, be able to be the way you would in other movies.
yeah, yeah, or no killing, or it's like could take out
Yeah,
his sword. So it's like, wait, what
we don't do that
you
here.
don't do that here. Yeah, yeah,
Black
do
Panther.
things like that. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool. Not Ninja Turtles bad because
No,
I don't know if you've ever noticed, like you watched the Ninja Turtles movies,
I
right? At
did.
least one and two, right?
Yeah,
Um,
like two a little more.
so a two, that's debatable. I think the
They're
first
both
one,
not that good in my opinion.
the first one holds up really well, man. You should watch that movie again. I can provide. So, in the first movie, the turtles use their weapons as they used to do in the comics, right? This movie being more based out of the comics versus
For
the
sure.
TV show, because the TV show was still being developed when the movie was filming. So, um, the when we get to part two, instead of like the nunchucks, Michelangelo's just spinning sausages, or it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
stupid.
Oh
So
yeah. More
it's like
violence.
it's super noticeable, but yeah, they can do stuff like that and they can get away with it. It's gonna be silly, but it's Deadpool, so who cares, right? So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the prospects for sure, man. Joel, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We will be right back, guys. We are back with the Batman, Joel. We got some big casting news this week, man. We got one at the beginning of the week, and that was pretty good. But then we got another one, so that was awesome. The first one being confirmed that Zoe Kravitz will be playing Catwoman. Let's go do that one first. How do you feel about that? Because I feel pretty good.
Yeah, same. Catwoman has been rumored for this movie for a while. It's been a while since we've seen Catwoman. Of course, Dark Knight Rises the last time we saw Catwoman, but I think it's due good timing to have this kind of character in a movie, and it's interesting that they're getting an actress of color. So it's gonna be another different portrayal
Pause,
again.
pause, because you got to remember Eartha Kitt
Yes,
from the original, no, not from the
yes,
'60s Batman
yes,
series, and I can't remember. There was two actresses. There was
yeah.
Eartha Kitt. She became more popular because she was already popular. But there's another actress that was of color too that played
Well, Halle
Catwoman.
Berry also, technically, I don't like to acknowledge that, but
Oh my God, Joel! I
that
forgot
happened.
about
Yep,
that.
that's
I
where I was
forgot
going.
about
Yeah, bro.
that. Holy
I'm
crap!
sorry I brought back the nightmare.
Dude, I'm not gonna be
Um,
able to sleep tonight. It's like
ooh,
right,
spooky.
it's muscle relaxants and painkillers for me, man.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks,
No,
dude.
no, and that's my point being is like and I choose them choosing this type of actress to portray. It's like it's nothing new. Like so people, no one has
Yeah.
seems to be upset about it. Everyone seems to be happy. But if anyone's like, oh, they're changing things, like not really. Actually,
Mm,
it's just it's been done before. It's not like this is
yeah.
anything new,
Yeah, exactly.
or
I like
first
that choice.
time.
I like this
Yeah,
choice though. Uh,
and her talent is pretty solid. She's on a show. I think it was a Big Little Lies. I think they said right now. Obviously, I think like Hunger Games and stuff like that. Not a great example.
she did
Um,
First Class, man.
First
Excellent.
Class. That's
Yeah.
yep. That was the one that I was looking for, which I really like. First Class.
Yeah, she was
That was a
Angel.
great way
Yeah,
of
she was
bringing
good. She
back
was good
Angel.
on She was good in First Class.
Yeah,
I didn't like what. Of course, you know they all these guys from First Class are never back.
yeah,
Most of them except Havoc, and then R.I.P. Havoc. Um, so I like the choice. It's a good choice, man. I think it's a solid choice.
for
So
sure.
interested in that. The second one being that is it Paul Dano?
Yes.
He will be playing the Riddler, and it is confirmed that this was the role that Jonah Hill was rumored to be in, and I guess he declined it based on what I heard. And then Paul Dano, which I'm not very familiar with him, Joel, was casted as the Riddler. But what do you think? He looks the part, though.
Yeah, he definitely looks the part. I saw that that most of the movies that he's been in, I've seen a few of them. Looking at his history, but what you need to understand is that he does not do typical action films. He doesn't. He mostly does more of movies you consider to be a little more on the artistic side. We're talking 12 Years a Slave, Looper, Prisoners, those types of movies. So, for him to take on this role, obviously Matt Reeves seemed to be taking this stuff very seriously. But it's really interesting that you would pick an actor like this to portray such a character that's people may only think of the 1995 Jim Carrey impersonation. Which, oh, but did you like that? Did you like that one for this time? I mean, it was it's a different time. What were your
Eh,
thoughts on that?
I liked him. That movie. The only thing that I really didn't like about that movie was Two Face.
Okay,
Hated Tommy Lee Jones. It is no secret that he hated Jim Carrey, and that had to play a lot into the movie. They did not get along at all during filming. So I think it was again Jim Carrey back then was like really over the top with his comedy, and he was known for his type of comedy, and this is 100% Jim Carrey in that movie. Also, Joel Schumacher is very hit and miss director,
right.
so I the overall wasn't phenomenal, but the movie itself is entertaining.
Okay.
It's not like Batman and Robin. Like Batman and Robin, I consider to be almost unwatchable to
Yeah,
some
yeah.
degree. But at least this one's entertaining. I remember going to see this movie in the movie theater with my high school
Gotcha.
friends. So yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's been a while though since we've seen him
yeah,
on the big screen,
it's
and
overdue.
it's overdue. And yeah, I you know what, it's okay. Jonah Hill passed. I would have liked to have seen him, but there, get another actor that seems to be used to doing a dramatic role. We'll take this serious. Looks like they're gonna take a more serious approach, Obed. And I think these movies are gonna be a lot more dark and a lot more
Very
serious, but
grounded. Yeah,
and grounded, but still in the Gotham we know.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for the stuff that DC is doing because they finally realized that they can't be MCU. They
Well,
can't.
they
They yeah.
Yeah, I mean they put a Joker out, and that's incredible. Like the amount of acclaim that movie's gotten this year. So I'm happy that they're in the right direction.
Yeah. I think they, by doing their own separate thing, not they don't need to have a cohesive universe. They can just do whatever, like what they do with the animated movies. They do whatever. They don't follow a sequence. They're not on the same universe. They if they do that, if they take that approach that they have with the animated side of things over at DC and apply that to their films, I think that's a great idea because they don't have this one's released to release this one. No, just release it. Just do
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah, and I think that will eventually work out way better. You can still release sequels. You can release a sequel to Shazam and Wonder Woman, of course, is coming out, um, but you can just do your own thing. You can continue that, right, and still do different stuff. And I like that approach. So yeah, Jill, a little bit of a PS5 sort of rumor slash update that has been going around this week. And one thing, real quick before I forget, because we did not talk about it last week. Um, there were uh, I believe it was a couple dozen people that got laid off at Sony Interactive Entertainment in Europe. So Europe's having a shake up too, man. These guys are restructuring. They're ramping up for next
Wow.
gen. It's it's interesting because it looks like this is a full redo of the basically their business structure. So we'll see how that goes. But there was some specs released, um, and then there were some other rumors regarding backwards compatibility. So just to go over the specs, and this is very similar to some of the specs that we've already seen. The rumor is that the PlayStation 5 will have a Navi GPU Zen 2 8-core 16-thread CPU, which is comparable to, I believe, a Ryzen 5, and I think it's an RX 5700 from AMD. That, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's the card that gets closer to the specs. Sources are saying that this would be a December 2020 release. Um, you need to release before Black Friday, man. You
Yeah.
gotta, you
Yeah.
gotta. Unless you're waiting for parts, you gotta release Black Friday. I mean, even if it's, dude, releasing a new console in December, that's like super mean. It's Christmas time. Let
Yeah.
people enjoy Christmas. Who cares about Thanksgiving? Don't don't ruin people's Christmas. No. But I think releasing December may not be great, but it doesn't matter because it's the new
Yeah.
gen, so they're still gonna sell. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um, the SSD, excuse me, supposedly is based off of a PCIe 4.0 um, ultra fast connection. It will support 4K 120 hertz TVs. Excuse me, ray tracing enabled. 8K graphics support will be probably video and not gaming. Again, I've mentioned this in the podcast before. If you are expecting this thing to do native 8K graphics, you're not gonna get them. You're gonna this thing's probably gonna run at 5 frames a second if you do that. So you're probably not gonna get this. And definitely it's gonna be like video content, and more than likely we'll have some upscaling built in. You were gonna say something. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
All right, cool. Of course, backwards compatible with PS4. They will be, games will be different SKUs that were released in what they're calling BDXL Blu-ray discs, which is the 100 gig, basically 4K discs, and the new controller with extensive haptic and tactile feedback. So those are the spec rumors. That looks very much like the rumors that we've talked about in the past. So this is pretty consistent with what we heard. Any thoughts on this, man?
Sounds good. Makes sense. All things that were to be expected and were predicted beforehand for the most part. No surprises, and a negative or a positive either. Pretty straight to the point what we expect for next gen. I think. Um, Yeah, I like your point about the AK stuff, man, is on point because, like, yeah, it's cool and all that, and I'm sure that they'll have some upscaling potential coming in the future, but like that technology is so far in advance. No one has those kinds of TVs. Like, it's just not something to be worried about today. So they're really focused on what's going to be on the market and what's going to run well, and I think that's fair. I mean, it's going to look good. I can't wait to see what these things look like
Yeah,
running on these specs, what these games will look like.
I can't wait to play PS4 games on this thing
I
and
know,
see
because
how
even
they
just
look
that
like.
upscaling already, yeah.
Yeah, like God of War and
Oh
Kingdom
wow.
Hearts 3 that looks really nice,
Horizon.
and yeah, Horizon's still like the best looking game ever, man, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This game's great. Um, Devil May Cry 5 looks it just Devil May Cry 5 looks freaking awesome on a base PS4.
Amazing.
I can just imagine like ray tracing and all this stuff applied if it gets patched. So that would be pretty amazing. The other big rumor that we're getting, and this is coming from a well-known PlayStation insider, and he goes by PS Erebus on Twitter. And basically, he posted or he tweeted basically saying that we should not dispose or trade in PS1, PS2, PS3, or PS4 games.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. So now speculation is that this thing will be fully backwards compatible with the entirety of the PlayStation library. I am still not 100% sold on that, but
Yeah.
if it's true, it will be a big deal. There's millions of PS2 games out there. Uh, there's hundreds of thousands of PS3 discs out there. PS1 games too. They're getting harder to come by in good condition, but they're still out there.
Yeah.
So big thing, man. I think this to me is a big deal. I've been wanting to play Metal Gear Solid 4, but I just don't want to. I just don't want to play it on the PS3. It just that game runs really like not great. So, but I want to play it again, and I have my PS3 here in this room in this setup. The PS4 is in the living room. I don't want to have to come here and plug in my stuff and
Yeah.
and be in this room. I want to be in the couch. Although I have a more we've got a new couch, and I don't find it comfortable, Joe. It's
Like the old one.
but I like the old one better. Yeah, but I do have a nice chair here. That's pretty comfortable, so I have no issues with gaming in this room. It's just a little bit of a preference there. But yeah, I think that if this is true and you would have access to your old library of games, if not only your discs, right, but if you can re-download your PS3 games that you got on PSN, on PlayStation Plus,
Yeah.
that entire library. If that's the case, bro, insane. That would be
Wow.
insane.
Yeah, man.
That again, not a day one buy for me. 'Cause no new Metal Gear. But if Sony it's gutsy enough and pull it out somehow, I'm there, man. Goodbye, Best Buy Visa. It's like it's gonna get swiped. So we'll see, man. Again, this is all rumor, this is speculation. So
Even if it just plays like PS3 games, dude, from the backwards
yeah.
compatibility standpoint, even if it just did PS4, PS3, like that already for me would be a pretty pleasant surprise. We
Oh,
talked about it in
absolutely.
extent in our last episode, like where we were talking all PS5 stuff, and like backwards compatibility is not the number one thing for you and I. We're looking
Mm.
at the future, not the past. So for those that do those polls and say that that's their number one feature, it's kind of strange. But it's still something that's accepted and something that would be welcomed and something that would be cool to have. So a PS4 backwards compatibility, cool. PS3 backwards compatibility, cooler. You go all the way. I still got my games, dude. They're all sitting here.
Yeah, I
So
still have mine too,
I
man.
would be PS1 games sitting right there, dropping my old Crash Bandicoot, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I only got rid of 2 of my PS3 games, and it was because I sold my fat backwards compatible PS3,
Right,
and I just sold it with those games, and then got a slim.
right.
Um, but I did not trade any games in at all for PS3. I kept them all, even the ones I didn't like that much. So PS2, unfortunately, I did get rid of a lot of those. That moment in
Sure.
time where you need money, right? So
Yeah.
so
GameStop was stealing your money on those trade-ins.
yeah, EB Games back then because I think it
EB
was still
games, yep.
EB Games. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it would be great to have. Amazing. Again, like what you said, we're looking towards the future. We're not looking to the past, but it will be a great thing to have. Convenience wise, where if I want to uh, just leave the PS5 in the living room, bring the PS4 here, and just keep doing PS4 gaming at this room. In this room, I can do that. So,
Sure.
so that's pretty cool. Joe, the last bit of news that I have here is that Analog, the makers of the Analog NT, the Super NT, and the Mega SG, being the NT being an NES compatible device, Super NT being a Super NES compatible device, and the Mega SG being a Sega Genesis compatible retro console. They're coming out with a new handheld version of their systems, which they are calling the Analog Pocket. And again, this will not play games via emulation. This is an FPGA. So basically, this is a programmable board that they can program to act as if the board itself is the console. So this does not emulate games. This is pretty freaking awesome, Joel, because you can play Game Boy game, Game Boy Color, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, and GBA. Um, yeah, and there's supposed to be you will have the ability to run other games via adapter like Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, and Atari Lynx. This is pretty cool.
By far.
Yeah, this is launched in 2020. $200 is expensive, but if you have an extensive library of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, this is a must get. Like for real, you must get this because it looks like the form factor looks just like a Game Boy, and it's really cool. So it looks pretty amazing. Um, the It's a high resolution screen, so this is a 1600 by 1440, 3.5 inch screen. There's also other things in development like a music synthesizer and other add-ons. Joe, this is really cool, man. It's really cool. Um, if I would be like an on-the-go sort of gamer, and if I still had my Game Boy games, I have a few Game Boy Advance games,
Yep.
but I the one I really cared about was Street Fighter Alpha 3, which I have on the Vita, and it's a much superior version. Um, I would definitely go for one of these things because it just looks awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. The pricing I'm not a fan of. To be straightforward, like it's not outrageous or
Yeah,
anything,
Analog is
but like
usually
it's
expensive, yeah, with their
and it make
stuff.
yeah exactly like it makes sense for what they're creating, like what they're doing here. It's some limited stuff. I understand that, but I'm not still like as a consumer like it that does kind of turn me off maybe from getting it. But I do think it's a really cool idea. With all the retro stuff coming back, more popular than ever, bringing back Game Boy here and in a new way. I'm here for this. Like I'm totally a fan of this. Still have some of my GBA games, still have some of my Game Boy games. So yeah, I'm cool. I think it's really cool. I am though interested to see how the market responds to it because like definitely like there's some people that from a nostalgia like a kid standpoint like oh I was this age when I was playing it, they may be taking notice of this, or it might just be something that's like what tech games have gone such a far away, even handhelds have come such a far way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the thing that concerns me is that this is $200. Um, you can buy a Game Boy Advance SP on eBay for $50 or something, right? I
Yeah,
don't know. So it's a concern when it comes to the price. Of course, this is hardware. You don't have to worry about capacitors going bad or this sort of
sure.
stuff. So it's a much higher resolution screen. There are some concerns for sure. I think it's super cool, but at the same time, you can buy a modded Game Boy Advance with like a nice screen, an amped speaker, and all this stuff. Um, you can buy it online for cheaper. But it just really it looks modern. It looks sleek. There's plenty of places that you can buy GBA and Game Boy games. We got plenty of retro, shops locally
Yeah,
that you can just go in, buy a Game Boy game. So that's the cool part about it. But you know, it is a little bit expensive. I agree with you. You can buy a Switch Lite for the price of this device if you think about it. So just you can put in perspective, right?
for sure.
Yeah. But nonetheless, it's a cool piece of hardware that it's going to be released next year. So, it's something that we just wanted to talk about. So, yeah, yo, that is what we got, sir. Before we plug us in, there you may have noticed if you watched the YouTube version of the show that the last episode wasn't posted. Joel and I are trying to work out a plan for our YouTube channel that is just not the podcast. So I will be posting those episodes at a later time, but we're evaluating on how to better use that space with more, I guess, compelling content.
Sure.
So yeah, there's that, and go ahead and plug us in, man.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch us here on and listen to us here on No Load Time. We are really appreciative for you guys staying tuned, and subscribing to our show. So make sure you're a subscriber if you aren't already on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Find No Load Time on those platforms. In addition, we also want to invite you to stay connected via our social media. Go ahead and follow at No Load Time on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. We also invite you to send feedback, questions, comments, some stuff we could discuss here on the show. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Thank you so much again, guys. We'll look forward to talking with you guys on episode 110.
110. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again next time.